Welcome back, everyone, and welcome back, TJ Hilscher. Now, TJ is the CEO and owner of HG Home Inspections. How are you doing today, TJ?
Fantastic. How about yourself?
Wonderful. So, for those that may not have caught the first show that we had together, the first couple of shows, tell us a little bit about you and your home inspection business.
Okay. HG Home Inspection, like you know, we've been in business here in Houston for about 10 years now. We've done 40,000 inspections. We have 18 home inspectors on staff, and we're proud to say that we have the largest number of certified master home inspectors in the state of Texas. So we get out to your house, get it inspected, and get the report to you in the same day. So
You definitely know what you're doing, and I appreciate who you are for us in the real estate world and fellow real estate agents and realtors and getting the job done for us. Now, part of our topic today, or really kind of the topic that we have today, is the potential costs associated with repairing or addressing issues found during a home inspection. Now, I know that this is really not your wheelhouse because, as we know, home inspectors are generalists. However, it's the foundation or the base or the beginning of the conversations that us realtors have with our clients with potential renegotiations. So share with us provide examples of common issues discovered during a home inspection that often result in significant repair cost.
well, absolutely. One thing that's the hardest thing for us is when a client's there at the inspection and they're like, well, how much is this going to cost and how much is that going to cost? Well, we can't really identify that per se, but that's one of the reasons that we really encourage our agents that we work with and our clients that we work with to get the inspection done as early as they can and for us to get the report back to them as fast as we can with the recommendations of who to talk to about the certain repairs. For example, a foundation repair can be as simple as, some people think foundation repair, oh no, that's the end of the world. Not necessarily. I've seen foundation repairs as little as $1,000, and I've seen them go much higher than that. Same with roofing, for example. But general repairs that we see during a home inspection, let's say, doors not lining up, but the foundation's okay, electrical issues, things like that. If you can hand that report over to a general contractor who works with an electrician and works with some of these other trades, they can give you a better idea of what your overall cost to bring that home to the condition that you want it to be in at closing. So that's what we recommend, is that you deal with a general contractor in coordination with what we find, if there are findings that you want to investigate further.
Exactly. So that is like I said, it's the base of the conversation, because during that option period, so when you buy a home and you have a contract that is accepted and all parties have signed off and you have so many days to complete any inspection that you want, the first one I always say is the home inspection. And you want that done within you want it, if you can get it within 24 hours, that's brilliant. But 48 hours, and definitely no more than 72 hours, because you want that. You get the report same day, but you want to see what that is, because when you have those significant repairs, we are going to go back and potentially request a renegotiation or a seller repair allowance, things of that nature. So when one of the questions that we have here is, how do you recommend homeowners approach budgeting for such repairs? Now, is there something that you can shed light with those when you're looking at those significant repairs when budgeting?
As far as budgeting for those repairs, it really, like you mentioned, getting the inspection done as soon as you can and getting that in the hands of somebody that they can at least give you a general idea. Like I said, a general contractor is probably your best bet to talk to, because they do it every day. We do it every day, but we don't necessarily repair it every day. We identify it. So general contractor estimates, and the idea of getting the home inspector out in the first 72 hours, I say within the first 24, like you mentioned, if you can, because a structural engineer's schedule might be a little tighter than a home inspection company that has 20 inspectors, so that's where you might run into problems, is they might be booked out 5 days and you have a 7-day option period. So getting with some general contractor is definitely my number one suggestion. Once you get that report in your hand, forward it over to them, discuss the things that you want to address, and they can give you a much better idea of what that money would be, or at least give you a ballpark figure.
And as well as the level of urgency.
Absolutely.
So we look at, when we're looking at the inspections, we look at the safety issues, potential safety issues at first. Now, with what do you find has been the most expensive repairs in homeowners that you've heard or been a part of the past 10 years, and have heard about, I guess you couldn't say, for lack of a better term at this moment?
I would say it'd be a combination of two. Structural issues that deal with water intrusion can get very expensive very quickly. So those are the ones you don't want to dismiss as just something that needs to be taken care of. You definitely want to address that, because you can run into mold and different things like that can get very costly very quickly. And then you don't want your house to be labeled as a mold house with the insurance and things like that without a proper restoration. So mold and water intrusion, I would say, would be the number one. And number two would be foundation, because foundation, that's what the whole home's built on. So, I wouldn't let it scare you away from a home. If you really love a home, I would just make sure that you find out how extensive the repairs are going to be and what the cost is going to be on those repairs.
Now, TJ, when you're doing the inspection, can you talk to us? You have 20 inspectors. Now, when they first step into a home, because you mentioned about the structural, you mentioned about the foundation. Is there a device that you use for varying some flooring? Talk to us a little bit about when one of your inspector walks into the home, what is the first thing that they do?
Well, the first thing they're going to do when you pull up to a home is really look at the structure of the home from the outside, look at the roof line, see if you see any sags, anything that gives you any indication that there might be something going on structurally with the home that, the untrained eye wouldn't see. And then as you're going through the home, you're looking for things, for example, like diagonal cracks above doors, doors that stick, major cracks in tiles that run, say, all the way through a room. That doesn't always necessarily mean that there's an issue with the foundation, but they do point that direction. And then we use a device called a zip level, which goes around. We go around the home and we measure the foundation from a particular point in the foundation. For example, with our company, we always start at the hinge side of the front door of the house as a reference point. The reason is every home has a front door with a hinge side, so there's no confusion over where our reference point started and each measurement we take throughout the home. So, over a 30-foot stretch in the home, say a 2-inch variance would be something we'd be concerned about.
Very much so. Now, one of the things that I do know, and I want to confirm with your company, when you have homes that are not vacant, how can you complete that process? Do you move furniture? How does that work if it's occupied?
Unfortunately, moving furniture is out of our license and out of our insurance scope. So we do note on the report if we feel like the location of certain furniture is limiting our full scope of the inspection. But for the most part, as long as it's not stacked to the ceiling, wall to wall, it's not going to interfere tremendously. If it does, if we feel like one area of the home is questionable because of belongings, we're definitely going to note it on the report and give the owner the opportunity through the realtors to move those things and us come back out and take a quick look just to make sure. For example, we had a home a couple years ago that had a rather large gun safe in one of the closets, and the day before closing, after the movers removed the safe, we got a call from the buyer's agent, and the listing agent had called them and let them know that there was mold behind the safe. We couldn't detect that because the safe was bolted in the ground. We went out there that night. The contractors met us there. We actually cut a hole in the wall to find that there was a leak behind the wall. And they were able to push the closing back a couple days, but they were able to make all the repairs needed, and the home closed, I think 48 hours, maybe 72 hours after the initial close date. So it didn't really push it back too much, but it was a obstruction that was noted on the report, and wasn't discovered that there was an issue behind it until they removed it. So I think that's a great example of a belonging causing us not to find a certain deficiency.
That's true. I have not heard of that happening before. I know I've heard where, the older homes that have the electrical panels inside the closet, and they did not clear the closet. The sellers did not clear the closet, so the inspector could not go in and inspect that electrical panel. And that's a safety issue. You want them inspecting that area. You want a generalist to go in and take a look at that to see if there's any potential issues to where if you may want to hire a electrician to come out and do their own inspection.
Very, very true. I mean, there's nowhere more personal in somebody's home than their master closet. So when you know that the power panel's in that master closet and they haven't removed their clothes and moved things, it just doesn't feel comfortable or right to be rummaging through somebody's master closet. So we definitely immediately call the realtor that we're working with and let the listing agent know. And a lot of times the seller might come and move some of the clothes, or they just set up a time maybe the next morning where we can come out and take a look at the power box. But that's the one thing we don't want to do, is invade somebody's privacy, because I do feel like that's the most intimate part of a home, is the master bath. So,
yeah.
And the master closet, of course.
Right.
So,
yes, that primary space is, it's very intimate. It's an emotional process. Anyway, when you're selling a house, it can be very emotional. Well, TJ, thank you again for your expertise. We appreciate you being a part of the show, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon.
Hey, I look forward to it myself.
And everyone, we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Thank you, Michelle.